Hello guys and welcome to the Bournemouth versus Newcastle United preview. I decided to kind of freewheel it and see who comes on. I've kind of left it open to whoever wants to come on. I've sent a couple of invites out, so you might see a few people popping up from time to time. But if not, then you just start with me. And I'm just going to waffle on for a little bit. So, yeah, obviously we're coming off the back of a loss to Magic Cup. Not the greatest, but at the same time, it's one of those it's meant to be. I'm kind of over it now, although you wouldn't think it. But yeah, so I'll invite Pete in. If it works for me, he shall come in. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I don't know, can you hear me, Pete? There we go. Right, we've got to stay right there because we've got another guest coming right now, and it's Paul from Newcastle Fans TV.
With the main man.
There you go.
You're right.
How's it going? Yeah, I'm good. How you doing?
Yeah, not bad. It's not Holly from Red Dwarf, before anybody says, with the white background and all that sort of thing. The normal love I get. But yeah, busy day today. Plenty of graft, plenty of work, but looking forward to the football tomorrow night. I need to wash that thought about what happened at the weekend out of my mind. Needs to go.
What happened at the weekend again?
Exactly. What did?
There you go.
Exactly.
So we've got near the bottom of the table, Bournemouth. We owe them a beating. We owe them a beating because not only we need to get over whatever happened at the weekend, but we owe them a bit of a beating. It's the Matt Ritchie derby. We need to get back to winning ways, don't we, Pete? What you said?
We do, and this is probably the best team to be playing at the moment. I think they've only had a couple of shots on target in the last 3 or 4 games. You're going into a game where we should be wounded right now. We talked about the team that beat us on Sunday being wounded going into that game. We should be, and we should be up for it. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the reaction is going to be. Bruce has had his say today, but there's too many times where players and manager have done too much talking. I want to see it on the pitch tomorrow.
No, you're completely right. Paul, how do we go into this game? What sort of changes do we need to make? Do we bring Big Joe back into the side? Big Bradford has to come in surely. What sort of changes are you looking at, mate?
To be fair, I've been slightly annoyed this past week because the changes should have come against Villa, because obviously the weekend's match was our biggest game of the season, and certainly the bigger game out of the two. It was Villa's bigger game, but it certainly wasn't our biggest game. Now we're going to have to make some changes. They're missing Callum Wilson, which is going to be a huge miss for them. I think King, he's got an issue as well, so I don't think he's going to play. This has got ball draw written all over it. It really has. But we are going to have to make changes. I think now we're virtually safe in the league, so now would be the time to experiment. Matty Longstaff, people keep saying, is he worth it? Is he worth it? Well, the only way we're going to find out is to put him in and see what he can actually do. So players like him, I think Bentelev comes back in because he was suspended for the weekend. Big Joe has to come in. I'm really championing and chomping at the bit for that lad to do well, because the thought of Dwight Gale being in the attack, it gives me nightmares. It really, really does. Andy Carroll don't even start. So I would be making changes. And even the likes of Darlow, I might be tempted to keep Darlow in, see what he can do in the Premier League, because you've got to, because at the end of the day, he's going to be our second choice keeper next season, right? Allegedly. He never, ever gets a chance. I love Dubravka. You know what you get with him, but it's pretty much, much meaningless. He's got 1 year left on his contract. You either need to give him a new contract or bin him off. Personally, I'd bin him off. I don't think he's ever going to be good enough. But the only way you can actually prove to the likes of the dinner lady in charge and stuff like that, is by putting him in and saying, look, he fluffed his lines, get rid, or saying, oh, he was absolutely fantastic. I mean, Darlow's got a mint chant, don't get me wrong. I love it when he's in goal. I love the old Carl Darlow chant. But apart from that, Dubravka, he saved us more times than Batman and Superman combined. So he's the better keeper, clearly.
Paul, Pete, before you guys go on, I've got another guest to welcome in. And funny enough, he doesn't support our team. It's Sam from Back in the Podcast. How you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, very well. Very nervous about tomorrow, I've got to say. But it's a must-win match for us. Must win. We need the points desperately. I mean, all the other teams are dropping points. No one wants to seemingly win any games like in and around us. So it's a massive chance for us to get out of the relegation zone for the first time in what seems like a long, long time.
Sam, can I just ask you from your point of view, what's gone so wrong for your season in total? Because Bournemouth, I always thought they're kicking on. We always use them as a benchmark to see like how they're kicking on. You're signing your Akes and the rest of it, spending big money. Although that you've got such a small stadium, no disrespect compared to us, but you guys are kicking on, and now you're languishing pretty much in relegation fodder. What's going on?
I think that season on season in the Premier League. I mean, once we got there to the Premier League in 2015, we had a sort of nucleus of players that were Championship players that he sort of made into Premier League players, but we had to improve our squad. But season on season, he's added bits and bobs. So there's never been any wholesale changes to be made because we've always had that nucleus. This season, though, has been very different because a lot of the players that took us up from the Championship are, they're getting older. They're not fast enough. They're not fit enough. They're not sort of agile enough. And we've also had injuries as well. So this has meant that he's had to bring in a number of changes. I mean, at the start of the season, we were playing a midfield that hadn't featured, together at all, in that we had Jefferson Lerma. He's played for us, of course, in the Premier League in previous seasons, but our new signing, Phil Billing, Harry Wilson on the right, on loan from Liverpool. On the left, we have Arnaud Danjuma, and put that into the mix as well. We have like new right backs in Jack Stacey. Diego Rico on the left was fairly untested. So we've had to make so many changes, and they just haven't gelled like they have in previous seasons. I just think it's the wholesale changes, and sometimes I sort of fear that new players that come into the team don't get the philosophy and judging by the Palace performance, not so much Wolves, they also don't get how serious this is, because I really, really fear for the future of the club if we get relegated. There are some teams that, bounce back and forth. We wouldn't do that. No way. We have to stay in because we need a legacy to be built.
I was going to say, Sam, this is the one season where nobody wants to get relegated. With the virus hitting, with the financial hit that the Premier League clubs are going to receive and are already receiving on the back of that, going into the Championship and not having that money guaranteed, that 100+ million a season, nobody wants that. And it seems like yourselves, West Ham, Villa, Watford as well. It seems like nobody wants to get out of that relegation battle because there's only a point difference, but it seems like nobody really wants it because I just haven't seen the performances.
And you know what? There is a scenario whereby we could lose on Wednesday night and still get out the bottom three if Chelsea smash 3 past West Ham. That's how weird it is. But you're right. I mean, for us, obviously, yeah, we've got a small stadium and it's the sort of laughing stock of the Premier League and all that. But, our small stadium...
Sorry, I
it's true, though. It's true, though.
I'm going to stop you there. Lads, I tell you something, right? It's not the size, it's how you use it. We all know that.
And, that's the thing. We use it well because, when you're playing...
That's what I like to hear.
That's the only thing that we've got. We always say we've got the big fan base and that's about it. That's where the bragging stops.
But, I mean, for us, the sort of legacy is being able to, because it's, we've spent on players rather than the infrastructure, but in the background there's a huge training complex that's going to rival Southampton's, and we all know how well they've done in terms of bringing young players through. It's a good chance to get all the teams from the youth, right through to the under-21s, right through to the first team, all training in the same place. 9 full-size pitches, indoor pitches, like state-of-the-art facilities.
He's showing off now. He's showing off.
But I've heard rumours that if we get relegated, that's all going to be stopped and it's going to be scaled right down. So you're sort of thinking, what would our Premier League legacy be? It would be bloody automated turnstiles, and that's about it. Scary.
Oh, honestly, mate, the thing is, right, with infrastructure and training pitches, our lads have to have cool downs in like wheelie bins and stuff and paddling pools. Honestly, mate, it's absolutely shocking.
Yeah.
Talk about legacy with the man that we've got in charge at the moment. The only legacy we've got is portable TVs in the gantries and stuff like that. That is it. We haven't spent on players and we haven't spent on infrastructure, so it's all right. It's got draw written all over this one. Like it's got draw absolutely tattooed over this.
I was going to say. Sorry, Sam. I was going to say it is. I don't know whether it's a surprise to you that you're down there, but it is to me, because you've had your Villas and your Fulhams and your West Hams for millions and millions upon millions a season, and they're always languishing for some reason. Their club's upside down and always has been. But I've always thought that Bournemouth have spent wisely. You look at the type of players that they've signed, and sometimes I've spent a little bit of money on players, but you always thought, that, it's a decent buy. You look at Brooks, you look at, Josh King, you look at Nathan Aki. You've signed some players, 1 or 2. Ibe's not really done it for you, and I know he's left now. But you always think that you've signed quite well. So it always seems to be, definitely for me, a massive surprise that you're down there. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, but then, for every David Brooks signing, there's a Dominic Solanke, and he's still yet, to do it just yet. But I mean, I've got faith in him that he'll turn it around. I think he's been played for the majority of times in his unfavoured, position. But yeah, I don't think we should be down there because, we're a team that plays a nice brand of football. But I think teams have found us out. I honestly think they have. And, even Wolves, they are not known for parking the bus or whatever, but they defended so well against us. They completely, killed any attacking threat that we had. And then they went and scored, to make it 1-0. And that's us with, 0 points out of a potential 6 from these last 9. And yeah, I'm sort of looking now at the teams around us thinking, I'm now starting to do these kind of, these league, predictors where you'll predict the results and look at the tables. I've never done that before. Not even in our first season. Mate, I'm doing it. It's scary.
Every season.
I did one.
13 years of it.
Yeah, I did one online last night, and I had us finishing 3 points above the dotted line. But what does that even mean? I mean, that was getting a draw at home against Leicester and sort of results like that. So I don't know how much you can really look into that.
Yeah, I did one of them recently, and it said that Lee Chanley was a useless prick. So
you're on to winning there.
Yeah, must be right. Yeah. You'll be all right.
So
I just hope Villa go down.
Yeah, true that. Sam, I'll take you was at the previous game last season when we drew 2-2 with you. Matt Ritchie scored that equaliser. Yeah. What was he feeling at that time? Because obviously I was in the way and I was like, as soon as he hit that, so sweet. Oh my God, we actually went mental. I'm sorry for you, obviously.
Yeah,
1 to 3 points, but
you know what?
Yeah,
I absolutely love Matt Ritchie. We've got a YouTube. Well, we've had a podcast since 2016, but we've got a YouTube channel that we started up at the start of the season. And in the lockdown, it gave us a chance to interview some real high-profile names like Harry Redknapp, and Matt Ritchie was one of them. And he was with us for an hour and a bit. and we chatted to him, and we chatted about that goal as well. And we sort of said, how sweet was that strike when you compare it to others for Bournemouth? And he's a very fair guy, but when that ball came over from the right side and I saw him at the back post, I just knew it. His left foot is unbelievable, and you can't blame him for celebrating either. But that was just another frustrating match against you guys, and the match at St James's Park. Was it this season? 2 undefeated. I can't even remember whether it was this season or last. It was this season, wasn't it? We lost 2-1. Yeah. We went. Oh, it was this season. God, it's been such a long time. But yeah, we scored to make it 1-0. We did a really well worked corner, which Harry Wilson put in the back of the net. And at that point, you're thinking, yeah, we're going to kick on. But then, we sat right back, and it was a typical tale of two halves. And in the second half, you were all over us, and 2-1 ultimately flattered us really. But yeah, Matt Ritchie for you guys has been instrumental, and he's one of a few players that we'll obviously be looking out for on Wednesday tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you've got some big names that have been out that are going to be out for the game. Like, how much of a loss will they be? Callum Wilson, he looks to be out as well.
He's out, but whether it's going to be a big, he hasn't been scoring for us, so it's not the end of the world. I think that if Josh King's fit, he'll play.
Do you think the big news has gone to his head a little?
Sorry, say that again.
Because he was linked with Chelsea and all the rest of it. Do you think that's gone to his head a little bit?
It's good. Yeah, good point. I mean, I'm not sure. He hasn't done a Ryan Fraser on us, put it that way, because once his head was turned, his performances just dropped like a stone. But no, I don't think so. I don't think he's been getting the service that he should be having. But then I think he's lost a bit of his pace. I know he had 2 ACLs with us, but he's not as quick as he used to be. He's seemingly not as strong and dynamic. I'd prefer to see Josh King in there, but if he's not fit as well, then we've got Solanke. But I don't think speculation's been affecting his game. I mean, Nathan Ake, he has speculation all the time, and there's speculation now with Chelsea again with their buyback clause and Man City, but he's just the ultimate pro. And I think Callum Wilson is of that mould, so I don't think his performances have been poor because of that.
And then I was going to ask as well, the Ryan Fraser situation, was that just come out of left field for you? Like, were you expecting that?
It didn't come out of nowhere. He's had a poor season. There's been a number of things that have happened during the course of the last 12, 14 months that I've kind of thought, you know what, now it all makes sense. He deleted his social media accounts on Twitter, so he didn't get any feedback from Bournemouth fans. He started to play poorly. He did an interview on our local BBC station, BBC Radio Solent, and he basically admitted, I haven't been playing for the team. So obviously that didn't really inspire the fans to get behind him, but we still did. He put in a few, good efforts. We picked up some points here and there, and then it turns out that he's not going to play these last 2 games. That he could have played, and he didn't want to extend his contract on. And it's very disappointing. For Eddie, that has brought him into the player that he is. When he came into the team, he was a fat little Scottish, chubby lad, really, and he changed his, diet. He brought him and improved him, sort of mentally, and he basically, got him into the player that he was. And I think it's a kick in the teeth for people like Eddie that have, stood behind him and got behind him. But maybe you can see it from his point of view in terms of want to protecting himself ahead of a move to, God knows where. But for us Bournemouth fans, it's a really unfortunate end to what was a good sort of 6 or 7 years at the club.
Because he had a fantastic season. Sorry.
Well, I was going to ask you both. I was going to say, Paul Pete, if there's anyone that we could actually nab off Bournemouth, who are you picking? Sorry, Sam, but... No,
good. Yeah.
Ryan Fraser, for me, would be a fantastic signing. He hasn't had the best of seasons, but I personally think his head's been turned after last season, where he was getting all those assists and all the plaudits, and I think the being heavily linked to Arsenal at the end of last season and into the summer, it's that he could, if he was here now and you had that conversation with him, he couldn't not deny that because it was obvious. You don't go and have a fantastic season like he did and then be linked with the likes of Arsenal and lots of different clubs to then putting in the performance he has done this season. It's clearly a reason. Now, if you're at a club for 7 years, to stay an extra month and try and get a team out of the relegation battle is the least you can do. For example, for everything that Sam's just said, you know, the fact that Eddie Howe has turned his career around and made him the player he is, the least you can do is stay, you know, an extra month and see it through. So the fact that he hasn't says to me that he's got a move lined up. He knows what club he's going to, and that he doesn't want anything to jeopardise that. It is a massive question. The player, I do like the team cars, but you do have to question the player's mentality if they're going to do something like that.
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
What are you saying, Paul? What would you take?
Well, we're desperate for goals, aren't we? We are desperate for goals. I've always looked very enviously at the strikers that you've got, and King straight away. I have him all day long, but I'd have had Wilson as well. We are so absolutely. I mean, you know, we've got the stadium, we've got the supporters, but we're a bit like a limp porn star. You know what I mean? We just can't seem to get it up when it comes to goal scoring. So I would love. I'd take both lads. I'd take both lads just to give us a bit of, you know, lead in our steel, a bit of a swagger up top. Because at the moment, you know, Dwight Gale, that says it all. You know, that miss against that team I've forgotten about. It just sums it up. Dwight Gale, I think he's average 4.4 goals per season over 5 seasons. You know, my gran could do better. God rest her soul. But you know what I mean? So I'd take them. I'd take them all day long. All day long. Bournemouth have got better attackers than what we have. We've got Joe Linton, £40 million. And he's got the number 9 on his back. But, oh, goodness me, that's where strikers stop. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I do look on with envious eyes at those players. And I think King in particular, I think he's just proper amazing. I've even said to the other lads in Newcastle Fans TV, I harbour to the days when we had the likes of Kevin Gallagher. Do you remember him? I take it Andreas Anderson at this point. I take out. It's desperation. We haven't scored.
Did a job.
Yes, Sibierski Ketspire, who I interviewed. Bit of a link and a plug. Anybody like that, just to get your ass off your seat and stuff like that. I would absolutely love, but I'm surprised Bournemouth are down there. I really am. I'm surprised Bournemouth are down there. I know what you said about the stadium, and I know it's a bit Scunthorpe-esque, people will say. But, you know, they're a club that's gone about it the right way. I remember when Dan Gosling went to Bournemouth from Newcastle, and eyebrows were raised, and I was like, what, really? But, you know, it made me eat humble pie. And, you know, the brand of football, the transformation of the club and everything, the impressive plans they've got for the training is an envy for a club like us with Mike Ashley, you know, in charge of us. So I hope you survive, but it's going to be difficult. It really is, but I'm desperate for Villa to go down.
Me too, 100%.
We all hate Villa.
Yeah.
Sam, I want to ask you about Eddie Howe. Because he's always been looked upon as kind of like the golden boy, the next one coming through. And obviously you guys are languishing down there. Do you think his reputation has been tarnished a little bit now? Like, do you think that next move to the next rung above is kind of been tarnished because he's so, he's languishing down there, basically?
Yeah, I think it's funny. Previous seasons, he's always been linked with the next, quite often, even when there's been jobs at Arsenal and even Spurs, his name's been on that shortlist, albeit a bit further down. But now, after this season, you're kind of thinking, well, where can he realistically go next? I'm sort of thinking, maybe it would be a sort of Newcastle club, in terms of like the fan base, or if you're talking next level football wise, you're talking maybe like an Everton or a Leicester. But after this season, I don't think many teams would touch him really, because he's shown a lot of weaknesses in how we've been playing, and he's not the golden boy at Dean Court anymore. There are a few fans that are sort of looking at him thinking, well, he has got his issues, and he has got a few faults. For many seasons he's been brilliant for us, and to take us from the bottom of League Two on minus 17 points and all that kind of stuff. We've had those conversations talking about the AFC Bournemouth fairy tale, just forget the multi-million pounds, £1 billion or whatever that's been spent over the years. Forget that. I think that his problem is not having a plan B quite a lot. We know how to play this brand of football. And when we were in our first season, we were struggling in the Premier League. And there were pundits on Match of the Day like Alan Shearer and Martin Keown, and they were saying, they need a plan B, but we stuck to our guns, and fortunately we managed to stay up. Now the following season we finished 9th, and we got a lot of praise and credit for it. But I think now teams are starting to find us out. We haven't got a plan B, and it's like we don't know how to play. And when we do play any other way, we completely lose our identity, and we do what we did against Crystal Palace, which to me was embarrassing. We were live on the BBC, one of the highest rated Premier League matches of all time. People not watching your Strictly Come Dancings or your X Factor, they're watching this and they're seeing absolute bullshit. And I thought we played really poorly.
You didn't see us on the weekend, did you? Did you not see us on the weekends?
We made Crystal Palace look amazing.
Wait, the start. Our manager, you talk about your manager hasn't got a plan B. Ours sometimes doesn't have a plan A. He's got man boobs bigger than Jordan. You know what I mean? And talk about humiliation. We got absolutely bummed for 45 minutes on national TV and our biggest game of the year. I'd rather sit and watch the washer go around with the colours chasing the whites. I really would. You know what I mean? It would be more entertaining than that absolute dribble that Bruce put out at the weekend. And all the stuff. Oh, it's the biggest match, lads. It's the biggest match of the season. But I want to play Carl Darlow. Goodness me. I could have gone up and told him to give his head a wobble. It was disgusting. Honestly, mate, we don't have plan A. We don't have plan A. We don't even have an owner. He's got the keys. He's put them in an envelope and he's pushed them through the door. He's gone. He's off. He's on his jolly bob to America. We don't have out. Carry on. Honestly. Oh, it's a disaster, mate.
I think that we would die to be in your position at the moment in the Premier League. What are you on, like 39 points? 39. Yeah, which is I know it's not the best turnaround, and you want to be like a top half team, but for us, we would absolutely love that now. I think. Perhaps I'm being a little bit harsh on Eddie Howe. I think that we have had a poor season where he's had to do. He must have so many pressures on his shoulders. He's the centre of the club, and everyone around the club knows him, and he's pivotal to the future employment of most of the staff, even people in the ticket, office. Like in the media, because our media department, like when we got into the Premier League, we added like 4 or 5 people to it. I think in the Championship, our media team was 3 people, and now it's like 12. No, it's just like 11 or 12 at the moment. And there's going to be a lot of people all around the club. You're thinking, what the hell's going to happen next season? So he's got the pressure on that. And, being a guy that will, he's an overthinker. Even in the press conference this morning, he was saying, I'm losing sleep over it. It consumes him. So, he has got, like if he could play, I'm sure that we'd be all right, because he seems to get how serious it is and the gravitas of the situation. But the players, you wouldn't know. And that's probably one of the scariest criticisms I could say, especially after that Crystal Palace match. If you watched it, you would not know that we were in a relegation dogfight. You wouldn't have known it. Wolves, marginally better. First half against them was all right, but then we switched off. They scored. And once a team scores against us, there's no way back. And that, like if you score first, I fear for the game. I really do, because I've just got a feeling we won't get back into it.
Yeah, that's
it, lad. Score first, Burlington, first goal.
Yeah.
I'll tell you something. Don't put a bet on for the first half for a goal, because I think it's something like. I think I read a stat. I've just put it on Newcastle Fans TV. I think it's something like 15 games since we've scored in the first half in the league game. So you can just write the first half off. So if you're having your tea still, don't rush through getting your distance to get to the TV screen in the front room. Yeah, don't worry about it. We won't. There'll be no goals till the second half. I think it's got 1-1 all about it. But at least your manager's got a bit of inspiration. I was just asked about bacon and stuff. Goodness me. Honestly, if this doesn't finish 0-0 or 1-1, you know what I mean? Oh, yeah, it's got it all over it. I mean, I know what you said about you'd love to be in our position and everything, but 13 years we've had of this. 13 years of just stagnation, relegation, and it's just so tiresome. I just want some takeover news. If somebody said we'll lose tomorrow, but find out that Mike Ashley has buggered off once and for all, I would gladly take that. I'd gladly take it, and I'm a passionate Newcastle supporter. I want us to do as the best as possible. But I'm just desperate for this takeover, and then get to the summer, and new beginnings, fresh starts, a bit of joined up thinking, and rid of the likes of Chanley and co.
Yeah, it's and I can see how passionate you all are. And when we were chatting to Matt Ritchie on the channel, we said, what's it like when you're playing in front of 11,000 one week, and then you join your new club and you're playing in front of like 50,000 people? Is it more motivation, more expectation? He said, look, Bournemouth fans are lovely, but Newcastle, they are total football. Like, everyone talks about football during the week. They always, look forward to the game at the weekend. It's all they talk about. I get stopped in like restaurants for a selfie, and everyone's just mad for it, and they just want to get my opinion all the time. Whereas in Bournemouth, you would sit down, and people would sort of be like, "Oh yeah, look over there, there's Matt Ritchie," but they wouldn't go up to him. And it's very much more sedate, down here. And he says he just loves playing in that, what do you call it, a cauldron, which it is. And when you're on fire, it must be a scary place to play at, but obviously, without fans, it's going to be like slightly different. But I can see the expectations there, and the city, deserves, a Premier League club. I mean, you're safe this season. You're not looking down, but I can see that behind the scenes, you just want this all to go through. And from a Bournemouth, perspective, when it does, I can see you flying, and that's going to be another team that we're perhaps not looking at as being our sort of relegation rivals. I reckon you could be top 10 fodder once this all goes through, but who knows?
I was going to ask you, in regards to that, Ricky, were you surprised when he left you guys to come to us? Because obviously we was in the Championship at that time. You were still in the Premier League doing well. Were you surprised that he dropped down to come to us at the time?
You know what? No. Really, I think he was going to get paid more, which is fair enough. He was a relatively young new footballer, had a family to provide for. You wanted to play in front of that many fans. The manager. There is a ceiling to what can be achieved at Bournemouth. There's not at Newcastle, and he left in high regard by a lot of our fans. But you cannot blame him, and ultimately, 12 months later, it proved to be the right decision as you got Premier League football. So I can see why he did it, and it's quite nice to see players moving on and sort of doing so well. And there are some players that leave us that we couldn't give a flying F about. We couldn't, but he's one that will always be sort of close and to our hearts, and we always like to see him do well. So when he scored that screamer the other day, we were loving it. Great player, and I certainly wish him well.
Respect for that. Pete, any questions?
No, it's just it's a strange one really, because with Nathan, I was going to ask you about Nathan Ake. What would because you spent a lot of money to buy him from Chelsea. What would your overall opinion be of him as a signing for you over the 4 years he's been at the club now? Yeah,
we had him on loan at the start.
Yeah,
and when he was on loan at Watford before us as well, but he's brilliant. He was on the left side for Chelsea, and Eddie Howe, sort of with a number of players, he always converts them into the position where he thinks is best. And he did that with Tyrone Mings. And it's funny with Tyrone, you look at him and say, well, God, what a bad signing that was. He barely played for us. But when you buy him for 8 million and sell him for 20 odd or whatever it was to Villa without him hardly featuring in the Premier League, that's good business. So that's another player that left with our best wishes, really. But Nathan Ake, consummate professional, strong in the tackle, relatively quick, always pops up with a last-minute goal for us. Great in the box when we got set pieces, either a free kick or a corner. He is Ruud Gullit, and he not only looks like him, but he plays like him as well. And I just think he's such a talent, and he's wasted at Bournemouth, really. I mean, if we were pushing for top 10, because he could play for a top 6 club easy.
Well, he's been linked with going back to Chelsea, hasn't he?
That's right. And I wouldn't be surprised if they, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't tap him up, because I think, he's we aren't a one-man team by any stretch of the imagination, but without him, we'd be screwed. So, I absolutely love the guy.
Would you say he's a leading centre back? Because in most centre back pairings, you've got a leader, and then you've got someone that kind of sweeps up, who's kind of the supporting centre back. Would you? Because in my opinion, I think he's a good player, but I don't see him as a leader. No. I don't see him as a leading centre back. I see him more as a supporting centre back. I don't know. You obviously watch him a lot more than I do. So, what would your opinion be on that?
I'd agree with that. He plays alongside Steve Cook, which is one of our players that got up through the Championship. Steve Cook's very, very physical, very vocal, always, G's on the fans, and never afraid to chuck his body on the line. But Nathan Ake's not really like that. He's just the consummate professional. He always does what's needed on the pitch, but he's not one for kind of looking to the fans and trying to G them up. He doesn't do many post-match interviews, but when he does, he's very well sort of spoken. It's almost, his professionalism is second to none, but he doesn't look as though he's a player that has his heart at the club. He knows that one day he's going to get a bigger move, but he's just doing the best he can and playing as well as he can, in order to get that move. So whether it's Chelsea, whether it's Man City, will soon be decided. But not a leader, and I think you wouldn't want to do that to Nathan Ake, because you don't want to put sort of too much pressure on his shoulders, really. You just want him to do what he does as best he can. I think giving him that responsibility as well will probably be a negative thing for him.
Sam, before we wrap up, I've got a couple of questions from some of the listeners. So the first one, kind of reverse what we did with you. Jake's asked, any players you would take from the Newcastle team? Be kind. Obviously, we've got maybe 1 or 2 gems, but be kind.
Christian Atsu.
yeah.
Christian Atsu. Please. Atsu.
You know what?
There's a bad cop there, mate.
Yeah. It's fun, all right.
We've got a really good centre midfielder called Henry Sarvey. I don't know if you've heard of him. He can take a fantastic
Jack Ball back in the free.
If you were Liverpool, we'd be getting our checkbook out for £20 million, because that's how charitable we are when it comes to players from them, that side. Obviously, on their day, I've seen sort of, a number of Newcastle games, but, when you watch Match of the Day, you're seeing the best bits, or sometimes the worst of, any given player. And I've seen some really good things from, Saint-Maximin. I think he, can be decent, and I don't know what you guys think, but when he's on fire, he is really good. Matt Ritchie, of course, I can't fault him. But and also, maybe recently you're not thinking this, but perhaps you are. But even Dubravka in goal, he's put in some really decent performances, especially whenever he's come to Dean Court. He's always been really good. And not many people really look at goalkeepers for signings, but when you're looking at Bournemouth, you've got Aaron Ramsdale, who's done quite well for us. But after that, you've got an ageing Artur Boric, who's 41, who's probably not going to play again. And then you've got a load of kids that have barely featured. So I'd love to have someone like him as well.
Andrew's come in with one. I think that's to all of us. How many players do you think we will rest tomorrow from Newcastle and Bournemouth point of view? So Sam, you can ask first, and then Pete and Paul, you can chime in afterwards.
Oh, this is an interesting one because there were a number of players that got taken off relatively early in our last match against Wolves. I'm just looking at the team now, and I'm thinking that there's going to be. I mean, who do we have? Aaron Ramsdale. Yeah, I think there'll be. Well, the one enforced change will be Callum Wilson, who's suspended, so he's not playing. I think there'll be probably about 3 changes, maybe 4, but 3 changes. So we've got a little bit of consistency there. And Eddie Howe always goes for consistent, that consistency. But when we played so poorly in the second half against Wolves, you're thinking, well, maybe he should make wholesale changes, but he won't. He never does, and he always goes for his favoured formation. So I think there's only going to be about 3, maybe 4 changes.
Okay, Pete, Paul, Newcastle's point of view.
Yeah, I think personally, for us, there could be as much as 6 or 7. 6 or 7. You've got the goalkeeper. You've got to think that Dubravka realistically should come back in. You've then got the centre-backs who've played all the time, so you're going to make at least 1 change there. I think Yedlin is going to come in at on the right-hand side. Again, I don't know about Rose. Rose is looking really, really good, but will he switch Manquillo over and rest Rose? That's a possibility. The 2 central midfielders, I think Bentaleb comes in, and I think another player could come in there. ASM, I don't see him being risked because of the injuries he had over Christmas was because of fatigue. So I think he will be rested. Miggy didn't look like his normal self against that team. I've totally forgotten about. So I can see a change there. And up top, we actually need a striker. So we're going to have to go for Big Joe, aren't we, up top, and see if we can do another Cruyff turn or something like that he did in that training match against Middlesbrough. So I can see a good amount of changes there. Bournemouth have had literally a few days off. We've had, a day or 2. So there's bound to be changes. Even Christian Atsu got to mention in the press conference today. And to be honest, when he did that, I mean, I nearly babbed my pants. I really, really did. I hope he gets nowhere near the first team. He's absolutely garbage. Honestly, mate, the best part of him slipped down his mother's ass crack. He was absolutely awful. Absolutely awful. He gets nowhere near it. Because the thing is, Bournemouth, I'm going to think they're going to be coming at us like a freight train. They're going to see it, and they're going to think of the Newcastle backline as like the good time that's been had by all. They're going to be after us. They're going to be wanting the points, and we've got literally nothing to play for. We're spreadsheet champions, but we are every single season. We're going to probably finish somewhere between 14th and 10th, and that is it. And although that gives Mike Ashley and Lee Charnley massive hard-ons, it doesn't do it probably for the players. It doesn't do it for the supporters, and I'm worried, but I'm always worried by a trip down to Bournemouth because I think it's a difficult place to go to with the ground and stuff like that, and the setup and everything. We're not going to have Matt Ritchie, I don't think. Matt Ritchie and his magic hat I don't think will be seen, and I'm gutted about that because I like Matt Ritchie getting in people's faces, kicking corner flags into people's knobs, and all that sort of thing. I like all that good stuff. So we'll miss Matt Ritchie and his leadership, and I just honestly think it's got bore draw written all over it. I'm going to go for 1-1.
Pete, I don't think there's anything left to say really. I think we've covered it all.
No, I mean the thing I've got with Bruce over the season is that he always alludes to what he's going to do in his press conference. So the fact that he's mentioned Atsu, the fact that he's mentioned about Saint-Maximin playing so many games says to me that he's going to rest him. He'll probably be on the bench and he'll bring him on as an impact. I think Joe Linton will start. I think, as I mentioned before, from what we saw from Andy Carroll on Sunday, says everything to us that he is only an impact player and he's a player that can't start.
I think Mike Ashley's cut my feet now.
Yeah. So I don't think Matt Ritchie will play. I don't think he's going to take the risk with him. I think it'll probably be Hayden and Bentaleb with maybe Shelby coming off the bench. I don't think he'll change the centre-back pairing. I think those two play really, really well. And as long as they're fit and they're not injured, I think they'll play. Dubravka has to start. that's a given. The guy's on what 9 clean sheets this season. He'll want to add to that, and we've got a better chance getting something from the game with him in goal. It's as simple as that. So he needs to play. I think Rose will play. He's building his fitness up. The fact that he's come on loan to us says that really, he wants to be playing games. So I think he'll want to play every game as long as he's fit. And then I think Paul's right. I think Yedlin will probably come in for Manquillo on the right hand side. You've got Miggy. Miggy runs for 90 minutes every single game of every season. He's a machine. He really is. And I think he's going to want to put right a few wrongs from a disappointing performance on Sunday.
Sam, I've got one more for you. It's a bit of a negative one, but I've got to read it out anyway. So Jonathan said, if Bournemouth go down, hopefully they don't, in brackets, do you think Eddie Howe will stay at the club?
Yeah, I think he will. I think he's trying to build a project, and I think that if we were relegated to the Championship, a lot of players would be looking at us thinking, well, they've got the parachute payments. Yes, they have got a small ground, but they've got Eddie Howe as well. And he's a manager that comes with a lot of calibre. And I think that when I say calibre, I don't mean the non-alcoholic beer. I mean, like, he's got a lot of gravitas and a lot of... he's got a lot of Premier League experience, and people will know what he's done with the likes of, David Brooks and, Ryan Fraser, albeit that turned sour. But, they'll look and think, well, this is a manager that I'd love to play for. He plays football the right way. And I want to play for him, despite the fact that we are a small club. I think that, Eddie is our only real chance of getting back up. Now, if he does go, though, it's not going to be pretty. And I think it could be some real hard times for the football club. But, given that there's a, project behind the scenes with the training ground, albeit that would probably get scaled down if we got relegated, I do think that he will still be at the helm and will be our best chance to get back up.
Do you think he'll want to stay?
Sure.
Do you think he'll actually want to stay at the club? Do you, with the fact that he's brought you guys back, brought you up to the Premier League and kept you there for so many years, do you think he's actually going to want to go and do that all over again in the Championship?
It's a good question, because there are times this year I've been looking at his post-match interviews and he's just looked tired and knackered and like despondent, and he almost looks like he's had no answers, and he's very, when he's in a bad mood, he doesn't really show it, but he's very economical with his answers to the media, and he can close off journalists in a real clever way without being rude or narky with them. But he's just very short and to the point, and he's been doing a lot of those. And you sort of think, is this him like signaling his intentions that he just, he's kind of, done with it now? I don't think he's at that point. We've just had a pretty bad season and a good set of results, and he'll be his happy self again. But we go back to our sort of conversation about previously, where would he go? And at the moment, you're sort of thinking, well, I'm not too sure. So at the moment, it seems that a lot of managerial positions are relatively safe, whether rightly or wrongly. So I think, fortunately, I don't think he's going to be tapped up by, certainly anyone in the top 6. And it's clubs with huge fan bases and clubs that are at that next level, but not quite top 6, that we've got to be worried about. But I think though he'll stay.
Okay. So quickly before we go, just quick results. What do you think the results going to be? I think, Paul, you said 1-1. Pete, Sam, yeah. What's your thoughts?
I think it'll be a close game. I think it'll be similar to a Villa. I think there may be, so it'll either be sort of a 1-1 or a 2-1. I think the first goal is crucial to which way it swings. Whoever gets that first goal, I think it will benefit that team, because I know what Sam mentioned about, if we get the first goal, you can't see yourself getting back into the game. We've had that for the last 5 years. Even in performances under Rafa, you've gone into games thinking, if we don't score first, we're not getting anything from this game. And a lot of our good results have come off the back of 1-0 wins because we've got the first goal. So I I think with our solid, with how we play defensively, we are relatively solid defensive line, and I think if we get the first goal, we'll at least get something from the game, in my opinion. So yeah, I think it'll either be 1-1 or I say 2-1 to us.
Yeah, for me, I've actually was feeling like real nervous, and then I'm hearing you guys having your conversations. I'm actually feeling all right about it and sort of really confident. I mean, when I saw your performance against Sheffield United, I know the Villa performance. Obviously, that last-minute goal was a sickener, and I saw the FA Cup, and one of the stats that the BBC flashed on screen about having 15 passes to Man City's 1,233,406 or whatever.
Yeah,
it was like, but I'm feeling I don't know. I'm feeling all right about it, but I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be a 2-1 to Bournemouth, but first goal is absolutely crucial.
Okay, all right. So Pete, you're going for 1-1, 2-1 to us. Paul, you're going 1-1. Sam, you're being brave and saying 2-1.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to say 2-1 to us. Yeah, that's it. Fingers crossed, everything goes our way. Sorry, Sam. Obviously, got to be biased here. It would be nice to get you back on afterwards if you're still feeling up to it. If we haven't beaten you too badly, don't be a sore loser. And
we do a post-match fan. It's a new thing we've done on our YouTube channel. We do a post-match fans chat for about an hour on this platform as well. You're getting loads of people coming in and dropping out for an hour, which is a really good format. But I've been sort of hosting it, and it's depressing, mate. It's really depressing. So I'm hoping to have a positive one. I really do.
Try being a Newcastle supporter.
Yeah, exactly.
Sam, I really hope you have a positive one, but just after Wednesday.
Yeah. All right. Cheers, guys, for listening and for joining. And Sam, Pete, Paul, thank you for joining as well, guys. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
No worries at all.
No problem. That's not. Take
Keep
care.
it tuned.
Take care, man.
Cheers. Bye. Bye.